What if the most famous love story in rock and roll was also one of its saddest? Millions of people believed Elvis Presley had everything. He had fame. He had money. He had millions of fans screaming his name. And beside him stood one beautiful woman who seemed to have the perfect life. Priscilla Presley. But behind the glamorous photos, expensive mansions, and worldwide fame was a lonely young woman slowly losing herself. She loved Elvis deeply. She waited for him. She defended him. She built a family with him. Yet one day, after years of silence, she made the hardest decision of her life. She walked away from the king of rock and roll. Why? The answer is far more heartbreaking than most people realize. This is the true story of why Priscilla Presley finally left Elvis. Before she became Priscilla Presley, she was simply Priscilla Beaulieu. She was born on May 24, 1945. Her childhood was far from glamorous. Her father died when she was only a baby. Later, her mother remarried an Air Force officer. Because of his military career, the family moved frequently. Priscilla learned how to adapt to new schools, new friends, and new homes. She never imagined that one move would change her life forever. In 1959, her family was stationed in West Germany. Priscilla was only 14 years old. At the same time, Elvis Presley was serving in the U.S. Army. He was already the biggest music star in the world. His songs filled radios everywhere. Girls dreamed about meeting him. Movies made him even more famous. Then something unbelievable happened. Friends invited young Priscilla to a party at Elvis's rented home. She almost didn't go, but she did. That single decision changed both of their lives forever. When Elvis saw the shy teenager, he immediately noticed her. She wasn't loud. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. There was something innocent about her. They spent hours talking. He played music. He joked. He sang. Priscilla couldn't believe she was sitting beside the most famous entertainer alive. Elvis, still grieving the death of his own mother, found comfort in her gentle personality. Soon he wanted to see her again. Her parents were worried. After all, Elvis was 24. Priscilla was only 14. At first they refused. Eventually, Elvis promised to protect her and return her home early after every visit. Slowly, trust began to grow. Neither family realized this relationship would last for years. But distance soon became their biggest obstacle. When Elvis returned to America, Priscilla stayed in Germany. For many couples, that would have been the end. For them, it was only the beginning. Long-distance relationships are never easy, especially before smartphones and video calls. Priscilla waited anxiously for every letter. Every phone call felt precious. Sometimes weeks passed with almost no contact. Still, she believed in Elvis. Years later, Elvis invited her to visit him in the United States. Eventually, she moved to Memphis. She lived under the watchful eyes of Elvis's father and stepmother. The arrangement looked proper from the outside. But Priscilla's world now revolved around Elvis. She adjusted her life to match his schedule. She waited while he worked on films. She waited while he toured. She waited while fans surrounded him everywhere. The beautiful mansion called Graceland looked like a dream. But dreams sometimes hide lonely realities. Elvis preferred staying awake through the night. He often slept during the day. Friends constantly came and went. Life inside Graceland followed Elvis's rules. Priscilla was still growing up. Instead of discovering who she wanted to become, she slowly became the woman Elvis wanted beside him. She changed her hairstyle. She changed her makeup. She changed the way she dressed. Little by little, she lost parts of her own identity. She loved Elvis, but love alone could not erase loneliness. Then another major chapter began. On May 1, 1967, Elvis and Priscilla were finally married. The wedding took place in Las Vegas. Fans around the world celebrated. Newspapers called it one of the biggest celebrity weddings of the decade. After nearly 8 years together, their love story had reached its happiest moment. Or so everyone believed. 9 months later, another miracle arrived. Their daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, was born. Elvis adored his little girl. Fatherhood brought joy into his life. For a short time, the family looked complete. Photographs showed smiling faces. Magazine covers painted the perfect picture. But cameras never captured everything. Behind closed doors, problems were quietly growing. Elvis's career exploded once again. His television comeback in 1968 reminded the world why he was called the king. Concerts became bigger than ever. Tour lasted longer. Fans followed him everywhere. His success demanded enormous sacrifices. Unfortunately, many of those sacrifices came from family life. Priscilla spent more and more time alone. Elvis traveled constantly. When he returned home, exhaustion often followed him. He preferred spending nights with friends. His famous inner circle, later called the Memphis Mafia, surrounded him almost every day. Privacy became rare. Meaningful conversations became even rarer. Priscilla later admitted that she often felt isolated. She wasn't simply missing a husband. She was missing a partner. Even though she loved Elvis, she realized she barely knew how to live without him. Her entire identity had been built around his life. That realization frightened her. She began asking herself a difficult question. Who am I? The answer wasn't easy to find. As Elvis's fame continued, so did rumors. Stories of relationships with co-stars appeared regularly. Whether every rumor was true hardly mattered. Trust slowly weakened. Priscilla also felt emotionally neglected. She admired Elvis. She respected him. But admiration could not replace companionship. Meanwhile, Elvis struggled with his own personal battles. The pressure of constant fame never disappeared. Long performances exhausted him. Prescription medications gradually became part of his daily routine. Friends noticed changes. Family noticed changes. Priscilla noticed them too. She wanted to help, but she couldn't solve problems Elvis himself wasn't ready to face. Eventually, she decided something had to change. Not only for Elvis. For herself. She began taking dance lessons. She explored new interests. She met new people. For the first time in years, she started building her own identity. That journey would soon lead to an impossible decision. By the early 1970s, Priscilla understood something painful. She still loved Elvis, but she could no longer lose herself trying to save the marriage. She wanted independence. She wanted confidence. She wanted to discover the woman she had never truly been allowed to become. Leaving wasn't easy. She knew millions of people would judge her. How could anyone leave Elvis Presley? People imagined endless luxury. They imagined fairy tale happiness. Only Priscilla knew what life actually felt like inside Graceland. According to her later interviews, the decision wasn't made because she stopped loving Elvis. It happened because she realized love alone could not fix everything. In 1972, they separated. The following year, their divorce became official. Many expected anger. Instead, something surprising happened. They remained close friends. Even on the day divorce papers were signed, they reportedly walked out holding hands. That simple image revealed a complicated truth. Sometimes two people care deeply for each other, but they simply cannot build the life they both need. After the divorce, Elvis continued performing. Crowds still filled arenas. Fans still worshipped him, but those closest to him saw increasing struggles. His health declined. Prescription drug dependence became more serious. Weight gain affected his confidence. Exhausting schedules continued. Priscilla watched from a distance. She never publicly attacked him. She never tried to destroy his reputation. Instead, she focused on raising Lisa Marie. She wanted her daughter to have stability. Then tragedy struck. On August 16, 1977, Elvis Presley died at only 42 years old. The world was shocked. Millions mourned. Fans gathered outside Graceland. Music history changed forever. For Priscilla, the loss was deeply personal. Despite the divorce, Elvis had remained an important part of her life. The father of her child was gone. Nothing could replace that. Many people believed Priscilla would quietly disappear after Elvis's death. Instead, she did something remarkable. She protected his legacy. At the time, Graceland was expensive to maintain. Financial concerns threatened the future of the famous estate. Priscilla made a bold decision. She transformed Graceland into a public attraction. Some doubted her. Others believed the idea would fail. They were wrong. Fans from around the world came to experience Elvis's home. The estate became one of America's most famous tourist destinations. Its success helped preserve Elvis's memory for future generations. Priscilla also built her own successful career. She appeared in television shows. She acted in popular comedy films. She became a respected businesswoman. Most importantly, she proved something to herself. She could succeed on her own. The young girl who once shaped her entire life around someone else's dream had finally discovered her own strength. So, why did Priscilla Presley finally walk away from Elvis? It wasn't because she hated him. It wasn't because she wanted fame. It wasn't because another person simply replaced him. She left because she realized she had spent years becoming someone else. She wanted to discover who Priscilla really was. Elvis gave the world unforgettable music. Priscilla gave the world an equally important lesson. Even the greatest love story cannot survive if one person loses their identity. Walking away was not the end of their story. It became the beginning of hers. Today, millions still remember Elvis as the king of rock and roll. But many also remember Priscilla as a woman who found the courage to choose herself, even when the whole world expected her to stay. Sometimes the bravest decision is not holding on. Sometimes it is knowing when to let go. And that is why the story of Priscilla Presley continues to inspire people around the world, not because she married the king, but because she found the strength to become herself after leaving him.